Hello, my name is Greg Anderson. I serve as the resident agent in charge of the Wichita and the Garden City DEA offices. Our area of responsibility includes all of South Central Kansas, all of North Central Kansas, all of Northwest Kansas, all of Southwest Kansas, and all of Southeast Kansas. In total, we have 78 counties that we're responsible for from Wichita and Garden City. As you're aware, DEA's primary mission is the enforcement of federal narcotics statutes aimed at reducing the domestic and international supply of illicit drugs. DEA has 239 offices in the U.S. and 91 offices in 68 foreign countries. But we're here today to talk about what we do in Wichita, not everywhere else. Wichita issues, the biggest one is methamphetamine. Chief Ramsey, Sheriff Easter will tell you that methamphetamine in Wichita is king. In years past, most of the methamphetamine was produced in small laboratories, either locally or in surrounding states such as Arkansas or Missouri. Since then, the cartels have taken over and they produce methamphetamine in large quantities in laboratories in Mexico. Most of the precursor chemicals that are used to make methamphetamine in Mexico originate in China, and they're imported to Mexico both legally and illegally, purchased by the cartels, the drugs manufactured and then smuggled in the United States and then to various distribution points throughout. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, a pound of methamphetamine in Wichita could be purchased for as low as about $2,800 a pound. As a matter of fact, we bought a couple of pounds at $2,500. At the height of the pandemic, 1 pound of methamphetamine in Wichita would sell for as much as $8,800. I believe there's two basic reasons for this large price increase during the height of the pandemic. One is the border actually was more secure. The second reason is actually more true. The cartels were looking for ways to raise the price of methamphetamine. There was a glut in the market. It was prevalent, and therefore supply and demand. Supply was high, as was demand, but because the supply was so high, the price dropped substantially over a few years. And so they used a little bit of tightening of the borders in the pandemic as a springboard and an excuse to rise the price of methamphetamine when it was more of an artificial raise. But it worked. Since that time, methamphetamine prices are falling again. We're seeing it back in the $4,000, $4,500 per pound, up to about $6,000 maybe per pound, but it is substantially lower than it was. Opioids are the other big issue in Wichita. Wichita opioid pandemic is alive, it's prevalent. It was a little slower to hit our area here than it was the rest of the Midwest. In Ohio, for instance, before Wichita became inundated with opioids, the police would go to an unattended death, and if it looked like the cause was opioid-based, they weren't even doing autopsies anymore because they could not keep up with all of the deaths. Although Wichita had lagged behind the national trend and the Midwest trend, we're here. DEA, WPD, Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office are investigating opioid deaths in the Wichita area. We're looking at federal prosecution in a couple of these cases. We're looking at prosecuting several layers of organizations that help supply the opioid that ended up killing an end user. The opioid issue in Wichita is basically three-pronged. One is pharmaceutical opioids that are prescribed by a doctor, obtained by a pharmacy, and then diverted to use for illegal methods or illegal means. The other is heroin, fentanyl, and other opioids that are sold in the stereotypical drug fashion, smuggled in from Mexico or other countries, smuggled in kilo or pound packages, broken up, sold in other little packages. Everybody knows it's illegal. And thirdly, another issue that's big here is fentanyl that's pressed into pills that will mimic legitimate pharmaceuticals. A lethal dose of fentanyl is estimated to be about 2 milligrams. But the lethal dose can vary depending upon body size, tolerance, the amount of previous use. Are you using other drugs such as CNS depressants? Based on a sampling during 2019, DEA found that about 27% of all of these fentanyl pills pressed to look like pharmaceuticals contain lethal doses of fentanyl. So people that are using these pills have no idea exactly how much pure drug, pure fentanyl they're using, and overdoses are very prevalent here. The majority of counterfeit pills are smuggled into the United States from Mexico. And like methamphetamine, most precursor chemicals used to manufacture these drugs come from China. DEA investigations have also uncovered large labs in China that produce the fake pharmaceuticals that are then smuggled into the United States for distribution. There's three basic reasons why crime is committed. One is money, self-explanatory. Two is drugs. Well, some people like to get high, and drugs make money. And three is ideology, whether it's state actors or terrorists or other such groups. They have a belief, and they'll commit crimes in order to further their belief. Even in ideology, drugs often plays a part because they'll sell drugs to make money, because they have to have money to support their ideological pursuits. Money laundering trends. Bulk smuggling is very common still. You can hide money in your pocket, a bag in your trunk, all kinds of places in a vehicle, refrigerator doors, inside TVs, and just smuggle it into Mexico. Most outbound traffic from the U.S. into Mexico are not checked at the border, and it's fairly easy to smuggle something out of the United States into Mexico. For example, in 2012, DEA developed information that a smuggling operation bringing bulk proceeds from upstate New York to the southwest border to be smuggled in Mexico uncovered that an aircraft landed in Salina, Kansas. We went up to Salina, made contact with Russian nationals who actually worked at the Russian embassy in Montreal, Canada. And inside, I think it was 12 pieces of luggage inside that aircraft was $5 million that we seized. And that was going to be bulk smuggled into Mexico again. A new trend is we're seeing Chinese nationals smuggle drug proceeds from west going east, and they'll end up in financial markets and banks in New York. And ultimately, DEA has traced a lot of these proceeds to Hong Kong. If it's in Hong Kong, it gets to China. Wire remitters. Many drug traffickers will use Western Union and other wire remitters to send smaller amounts of money to help avoid detection or suspicion to various places to help pay for transportation fees or the cost of the drugs. We also see a lot of money is deposited into bank accounts and then sent to bank accounts all over the world, and again, some of that ends up in China. We've also seen cases where there's a couple housing developments in Wichita where several houses were built with drug proceeds and then sold down the road. And we didn't get to keep those houses because they were sold then to some people that were not part of the conspiracy, just somebody trying to buy a house for their family. But that's even here in Wichita. Along with DEA's primary mission of enforcement, we are keenly aware of the critical importance of education, awareness, and prevention as being key to reducing the need for enforcement. If DEA can in any way play a role in ensuring our citizens never encounter us in an enforcement role in the future, it's time and money well spent. Operation Engage is a new DEA program. Wichita was selected as an Operation Engage city, and we're the only city in the St. Louis Field Division that was selected as an Op Engage city. We've written a proposal of what we would like to see Op Engage in Wichita, and the Wichita Metro Crime Commission was highly influential in our DEA Op Engage proposal. Currently, our proposal is pending approval in D.C., and we all know how long it can take for D.C. to approve anything. I don't have a timeline yet on exactly where they're going to get back and say, guys, let's go and let's roll. But I can tell you that our focus will be to raise awareness of the opioid and methamphetamine abuse issues and the consumption issues in our city. We will focus on youth and youth programs in an effort to make our community an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. And soon more news will be available as to what this program will look like, and we're going to work with the Crime Commission to launch it, to get it going, to make sure it's successful. So you're going to know shortly after I know when it's approved, because the Wichita Crime Commission is a huge, vital partner with DEA to make sure that Operation Engage is successful. Other local partners include the Wichita Police Department, the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, the Sedgwick County District Attorney's Office, the United States Attorney's Office, and the Office of Senator Jerry Moran. Okay, guys, I've been on a soapbox long enough. I've never spoke to a camera before without some people in the audience giving me a little feedback. So I hope I actually was able to convey something that was semi-intelligent or intelligible to you. So thank you for letting me speak to you today, and I hope that 2021 is happy and healthy for you and your families.